So there we go. We have hit the live button and we are getting set to welcome our guest for today on the show. Yandi Martely is the name, and she's going to be joining us, taking us into her world of leadership, her world of growth, her world of giving back. And she has been doing an extensive amount in all of these areas and departments. So this is our guest for this morning. Of course, we'd like to say thank you to our partners, Courts and the First National Bank. They continue into the new year. They are back on board with us. They could have easily gone somewhere else or do something else with their time and their money, but they have decided to continue pouring their confidence into She Speaks, and that augurs well for us. That augurs well for society. That augurs well for the ladies that we that give themselves up to share their stories and their journey with us. It also augurs well for the people that they help to inspire, which is the ultimate goal, help to inspire persons who are out there to see that it's doable. If someone can do it, maybe if you understand the journey that someone took and you realize it's not much different than yours, then it's doable. And that could create some form of hope. So we are grateful for that. We would like to say thank you to the partners and, of course, take a word from them. When we come back, we kick off the conversation. We bring our guests up on the screen and we start the conversation. So stay with us.
Enjoy 20% off on credit purchases and 10% off on cash this January. Don't miss out. It's the final week to get so much more rewards. 20% off on credit and 10% off on cash. Hurry to your nearest Quartz outlet. Quartz, bringing value home.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Well, absolutely. This is where we say hello and good morning and welcome to yet another She Speaks. My guest is about to join us on screen, and there she is, the beautiful, absolutely amazing, quite fulfilling Yandi Martely. Good morning, darling, and how are you? How is Canada? Cold?
Canada is cold. Good morning. Good morning, Mareen. Good morning, St. Lucia. Good morning, RCI. Canada is cold. I think we're at minus 11 today, so very chilly out here.
Oh gosh, no, I couldn't do it. You see how you come out there and you're all pretty? I would have been up to my nose, covered. Everything would have been covered. I can't deal with the cold. Yeah. So I admire you and everybody else who does it. Now, Yandi, thank you so much for answering that call. I mean, we encountered each other some time ago, and it certainly was, and it piqued my interest instantly because you were such a dynamic and fully well-rounded person. But even more so, while your career is on the high, you still find time to pour back into, giving back. And I thought that was so noble, and I thought this is the kind of person we would like, to have on our She Speaks show. So yeah, definitely. I say I have to call her. So here we are today. And normally what we do for persons who may not know, you might have people who may be able to connect with you, might be some school friends and all of that, and people from your village. But for us who don't know, give us a little insight about yourself, Yandi. Tell us about growing up. Tell us, where did you grow up? You're what girl? Which community?
Definitely. Well, I grew up in Monrepo. Some of my years in Monrepo. My family is from Monrepo side, so the Mopo, Jean Mopo, hello.
That's right.
But I also grew up in Montreal, Canada. So I came to Canada when I was 9 years old. Into a French province where English is quite on the minimal out there, so you have to learn a second language when you're out there. And life was awesome. It's the European culture, so la joie de vie is very big for myself. I do speak both languages out here. And then a few years ago moved up to Toronto and have really made myself a mark out here in an English province, but still keeping close to my home and my roots in Montreal. That will always be some of my Some of my fond memories.
Your fond memories.
Yeah.
Right. Now, growing up in Monrepo is quite rich, urban. When you think about wanting the authenticity of a true Lucianized kind of thing,
Yeah.
you tend to get the sense of that when you think of a place like Monrepo. I remember Miss Martha and the ladies in Miss Martha shop. They always here with us on RCI, so we remember that. What are some of the principles, be it in your household or through the community, that you believe has molded you into the individual that you are today?
Definitely. Coming from humble beginnings is it forces you to never forget where it is that you come from. And so growing up in Monrepo and living where we did, we had about 1 mile away was our closest neighbor, and that was a relative of ours that we
Wow.
grew up with. And so it was being creative, thinking outside of the box, being, again, like I said, that humble beginning, that grassroots kind of way of living. You're taking care of each other, taking care of community and family and togetherness, and these different things are what really is my foundation. And so when it comes to like my career, I'm very proud of my Caribbean background, my St. Lucian background in organizations. I bring soca to them all the time. In learning and development space, I bring that out there because I'm very proud of my background and where I come from. And staying humble and in the world of the corporate world is a very powerful, a superpower to have, right? Because you can take feedback, you can take these different things that come to you to help you to grow as an individual. And that's really, when you look at the field that I studied, which was learning and development, that's really is how do you continuously grow and develop as a human being, in whether it is your work that you're doing or whether it's in life. How are you continuing to grow and develop as a person, and staying humble and being willing to grow and learn from feedback, and is really powerful superpower to
Right.
have.
What kind of household did you have siblings? Where did you fall in the mix of all of that? And if there is?
I am the baby, so sorry to cut you off. I
Oh.
am the baby in the family, and so I will say that I am very spoiled by my siblings. I still lean on them, even at my age. I still lean on them because they are just awesome. And so grew up with mom, dad in the house, and my siblings, and being the youngest with a bunch of boys also, really kind of teaches you, like, there's no excuse, right? When you have that, there's a different way that sometimes men think and view the world. And having those brothers who say, there's no excuse, go out there and get it done. Do it. When you feel afraid, still go. Right.
Yeah.
And that has really been really helpful in my journey, I would say, is having a strong foundation with my siblings and my parents.
Wonderful. Well, we get the groundedness. We're going to take a word from the partners, and we're going to come back and talk about the extensive career path that you've chosen, because a lot is happening there, and we're going to need some time to be poured into that. So we'll be back. Let's take a word from Courts and the First National Bank.
Enjoy 20% off on credit purchases and 10% off on cash this January. Don't miss out. It's the final week to get so much more rewards. 20% off on credit and 10% off on cash. Hurry to your nearest Courts outlet. Courts, bringing value home.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
And here we are. We are back. And for those of you who have decided to join us on our live streaming platform, we appreciate you. Do us a little favor and share it up, so you alone can get all the juice and the gist of things. So share it if you so wish. Share the live. We're live on our Facebook, and we're also live on our YouTube page. So we've got RCI Radio Caribbean on YouTube, and there is also the official page of Radio Caribbean International on our Facebook. So you can feel free to share that. If you miss it, then you can always send somebody back. They can go and look at it. We are talking to the awesome and amazing Yandi Martely this morning. She is St. Lucian from Mopo. Has been living in Canada for quite some time and, living, working, flourishing, contributing to Canada and also back home as well. So Yandi, we're gonna definitely delve into that. Your first rel, you actually studied international tourism. That was one of the first things that you dabble into, right?
I did, and the full intention of that was really to come back home. When I
Ah,
studied that was to come back home, and life happened. Life had a different spin for me, and I went down the path of going back to university and changing up a little bit of my career path and staying in Canada instead.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna walk through that now because we've got to come to where you are and how is that all of these things, whatever life where life took you and how you had to transition to all of it and adapt, but yet still be um so meaningful and so impactful because you
Mhm.
also are aligned with the St. Lucia um the
Toronto
St. Lucia
Association,
Toronto, the
definitely.
Toronto St. Lucia body, and you do quite I am so proud. We have to talk about that because I am so impressed by what you do there. I think it's so. I mean, is it that the fact that you're an educator, and you have a lineage of education, being an educator in you has. I think it's a blessing to that space because you now understand that a lot of what has to happen is teaching, information, making sure people are informed, and you have been doing such a remarkable job in tying the St. Lucian, the true St. Lucianism, the patriotism of St. Lucia, the culture, everything. You were here recently doing that, gathering stuff and seeing how it is that you can go back. Children who are of St. Lucian lineage can now learn and actually be in settings, in rooms where they can, feel the true sense of what it is to experience what is unique and what aligns them to that little island. And you're a champion in some of these things. So we come in there. But if there's anything else before we get that you want to talk about, because you're also an entrepreneur, you're also a person that your business. There's so much happening here. I don't even know where to go. So I want to leave it to you to walk us through every part of it, please.
Definitely. And I say I'm a Catholic, so I'm guided by God in everything that I do. So when I say life takes a different path, God
Mhm.
steered me down a different path, and I said okay, and I listen and I go with it. And so that's really where things happen. And I think with my career, that's where things have happened and led me to where I am today. It's when I'm unsure about something, pray on it, get the guidance, and then go. And so that was where that journey, when it comes to learning and development, I fell upon it. I can say that I fell upon it to a certain extent because I became a teaching assistant in my last year at university. Professor said, "Hey, do you want to teach this class? It's called Leadership in Small Groups." I was like, "Oh my, okay." You see it in me, so I'll see it in myself. That's fair enough. And the moment I taught that course, I fell for it. I fell in love with learning. I fell in love in seeing how people grow, and and to be part of that journey for individuals was really phenomenal, and which led me to different organizations that I could then go ahead and have impact. And that's the real thing in everything that I do, and every venture that I go on, is what's the kind of impact that I want to leave behind when if I decide to walk away. What's that impact look like? And so when it came to working with the St. Lucian Toronto Association, that's the same thing that happened there. It was, what's the kind of impact that I would like to have and give back to my community? I've worked with various organizations in the past where I've given that learning and development component. I've given the Yandi, I've given the different things. And it was time for me to give back to my community. And so when you saw me down there in October, was for Junior Creole month. I was joined with a colleague of mine had brought down to provide some consulting, and what is the St. Lucian culture, what is Creole, what is the dances, what are the different things, what makes Creole culture what it is. And it's so beautiful. It's such a
Yes,
beautiful dynamic
yes,
culture,
it is.
and absolutely proud of the fact of what the St. Lucian government, the citizens are doing to reinforce that culture, because it is so powerful to know where you come from. I said it in the last time, is if you know where you come from, then you know where you're going. And if you
Absolutely.
start with a solid foundation, the sky's the limit. At the end of the day, the sky's the limit. Just go.
Absolutely. Now your career path, you've held leadership position with some really top companies as well that we know, the brands we are aware of, Microsoft and was it American Express and stuff like that. Can you expand a little bit about your engagement in these regards?
Definitely. Those organizations, I was in a learning and development consulting position.
Okay.
And so designing training programs, working with management in terms of designing, bringing programs to the staff and understanding what staffing needs are, how people learn, and then to be able to provide them with the right direction to get their teams to excel. And learning and development in any organization is key in terms of providing the information, but there's also the coaching aspect of leadership when it comes to management. And so part of my roles in these organizations was not only to design technical training and train the frontline staff, but to also work with management of how do you support your employees after training. Training isn't everything, right? So training, buck doesn't stop at training. Training continues once you get out of the classroom. Now management now has to coach and mentor their staff to be able to get to that level where they need them to go, and which is driving results for the organization.
How did, but these are companies, let's talk about cultural barriers, I mean, how were you able to be extremely impactful? I'm not asking, I know you were impactful, because they keep coming back and
Yeah.
sorting your expertise. So how were you able to use that, or did you see a need to use some of the the groundedness of Caribbean life, Caribbean living, Caribbean, how we grew up, some of the principles, and sort of infuse it in some of those teachings, some of those things?
Oh, I teach it all the time. My
Ah,
part of my programs is I always start off my courses, like we started off today with the music and the dancing, and always started off my programs with there's music was a strong foundation in that. And soca music and reggae music was right there, and I would have students lined up to come to my courses because it's about just having a good time. Caribbean culture is taking yourself seriously, but sometimes not so seriously, right? That's how I look at it. We are very
right.
conservative people. We do what we're supposed to do. We are well educated, well informed, but we also know how to have a good time. And so when you show up and you're with me, know that that's what you're in for. You're going to get the professionalism, you're going to get the work, but you're also going to get a piece of my culture, because that is who I am, and that's what makes me who I am, and that's Yandi. And so the culture is always there. And if we had, like potlucks and different things like that, you're going to get some Caribbean food in there. You're going to get some Caribbean music in there. You're going to get that culture, because that is just part of who I am. And a key thing in anyone who wants to pursue learning and development is bringing your authentic self. And even in the corporate world, bringing your authentic self to the table, people will respect that. People will appreciate that, because they have no choice, because you're being yourself, right? And they have no choice
Absolutely.
at the end of the day. And so pretending to be somebody else, you will never be accepted. But once you present yourself, you know who you are, and you bring that person to the table, you will have that longevity in career. You will have that fulfillment in your career, and you love it. And I love what I do. Learning and development is my passion, and I just happen to get paid to do what I love to do.
Oh, I was just about to go there with you and ask you what was some of the more fulfilling moments when you went. Okay, let's say Microsoft. You went in there, you conducted that program. What would have been the highlight? What would have been the thing that you get that pit in your stomach that made you feel absolutely proud and want to cry and all of that at the same time? When what happened? What happened within the setting after you were able to impart that would have made that feeling, that would have contributed to that feeling.
I want to say I'm a crier, so let's just put that on the table. I'm a crier. So any moment I
Me
get a chance to just ball some tears out there, I'm fine with it, and I'm okay with that, because authentic leadership is what it is, and leadership, and that is demonstrating leadership is being vulnerable and being able to be vulnerable.
Right.
And I'd have to say it wasn't necessarily Microsoft, but it was American Express, where I was working with employees who wanted to become managers. And the program was a 3-week program. And it's really, when you work with in a program like that, there's taking down those barriers, because if you want to be a true leader, you need to be authentic in how you are leading. You need to also show vulnerability, that I also can be vulnerable. I also can, have those moments of crying and have those moments of saying, it's the empathy in at the end of the day. And after 3 weeks of going through a coaching session with me, I do a little bit of hippie in my trainings, where we kind of sit around on the floor, and it was going through that gratitude stone. And that was a huge impact, because when I teach, it's not only about my students learning, but I also have a moment to learn for myself. And in passing around those gratitude stones, and when everyone said, no, this is what I'm taking away, and this is what I'm grateful for from this experience in learning how to become a leader. And those still stay with me. And I still meet those people who've become managers and directors in organizations. And they're like, this program had such an impact. It changed my entire life and outlook on how to relate to people. And the fact that an employee is still a human being at the end of the day. And when you treat them with respect, they'll come through to you 10 times, because they know that they're being appreciated. And it's the little things of thank you, or a thank you note. Something small as that shows your leadership, shows how you are really looking to see that person as a human being.
Have you been able to, what's the word? Have you been able to scope out the St. Lucian for workforce, the business landscape? Do you believe there's room for your level of
Definitely.
training?
I'm always available, and to come in and provide some guidance and consultation as well. I do. When I say that there is a need, there's always a need for growth and development. And if we work with a growth mindset, then there's always opportunity for us to grow as organizations, as a country, and as individuals.
Right.
So,
Let's talk. We hear growth and we hear mindset, and lately the internet, the Trump internet, whatever you want to, Beyonce's internet, is bombarded with persons who speak these things. Oh, we're a life coach. We teach growth. We teach this. We teach that. We give you this. It's bombarded. What is? Are you one of those, or are you coming from a background where you actually work driven? You have practical education, work driven expertise that you put into when you speak of that, as opposed to somebody that decided just going to come and spit out words, and that's it, and they get to change a mindset. What is your take? What makes you stand out or different?
I'm a work mindset, so I'm not on social media too much. If you go to my I love it for what it does, but my head is focused on working with my clients, and I'm off the social media platforms. But if you call me up and you say, Yandi, hey, can we talk about XYZ? We can talk for hours on when it comes to learning and development and strategies that you can put in place, and how to come in and just analyze the staff and see what's going on, see what's the need, and then let's go for it. That's where you'll find me working. That's where
Right.
I get my energy from, is working with the people.
Right.
Versus
Practical stuff,
Mhm.
not learning the nice words to say. And, we hold a seminar and we speak, this is this, this is that, you must do this, and you must, and you must, and your
And yes,
mindset, and,
yeah,
but there's no actual track record of, working, to
right.
prove that, yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I know what you
You
mean.
know what I
It's
mean.
that it's that grassroots work again, right? It's that grassroots foundation,
Exactly.
right? I want
Absolutely.
to get dirty. I want to put my hands in the mud and play with it and figure out what's going on and how can I build something out of this versus that. But there's space for both. That's the thing in life. There's space for both. There's space for those gurus who go online and are teaching, and there's space for myself as well, and there's space for everybody, and we can share it. It's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. We got about 5 minutes left, Jans. We wanted to segue back into your Toronto, St. Lucia um sphere. I mean,
Dissolution,
there's
yes.
so much more happening there, but we wanted to come back there and spend some time there because a lot is going on. And I guess, if persons know that this is what you're doing and they can connect with it, maybe, it might make things a lot smoother for you as well. Somebody might be willing to, collaborate with you from here and make something happen over there that can impact, the diaspora. So let's go back to your role there and speak about some of the things you plan or you have up your sleeves that you would like to achieve. It's a start of another brand new year. We must have plans. So
Mhm.
and you seem like the person that's planned a lot. So so some of the things you have planned for that space.
Definitely. You know what? I don't want to go too much into some things because we're still in the planning stages of a lot of our things. Like you said, I am a planner, so I'm really in the planning stages of a lot of some things. But one of the things that I'm hoping to be able to bring this year is really to working with the Folk Research Center on bringing a Creole program to the diaspora. And that's really teaching from from kindergarten level, because again, I come also with a French background and that elementary way, but coming from the basics of speaking Creole to moving it into more advanced. And that's something that I'm in early talks, very very early talks, and blasting it on here is maybe putting some pressure as well on that, but that is
Why
something
not?
that my learning and development background is coming in to support in bringing that awareness out to the diaspora and
Mhm.
bringing programs and designing manuals and things like that. So we're really in the infancy stage of bringing a program like that to the diaspora. And when I say that, I mean globally, putting together programs and training manuals and all those different things to be able to help the community speak the language, because it is
Right.
a language.
Right.
And I remember as a child growing up, Creole was something that was, you didn't speak that, you spoke that in the country, you didn't
Yeah.
speak that in the city. And when
Right.
I came back and I saw that everyone was speaking, and then I did some research, and because you give me one little item to do, and then I go down the rabbit hole of research and finding out all these things. But I found so much of the population was learning and had that hunger to learn it, was just
Very.
really something nice to see. And St. Lucians should be very proud of the fact that they're picking up that language and teaching the children the language, so that we can continue our traditions, our culture, so that they know where
Wonderful.
they come from.
That is vital as well, because there's a thing with migration, when persons, whatever the reason, have no choice but to transition,
Mhm.
go into different places, the bigger countries, but coming from small islands, sometimes they tend to be disconnected with their true culture and who they are,
Mhm.
and not knowing who you are, not understanding, having that groundedness of where you're coming from is a sad thing. So I'm happy that you have decided to fill that void, at least for the solution, in Toronto for now. But hopefully it sets a tone for other places around to follow. Yandi, I'm going to open up the floor for you now. If there's anything that you would like to leave with our viewers, because a lot of people might say, "Oh boy, she just have it made." You're still a mom. Are you mom yet?
I am a mom. I'm a mom of a
Mom, your
little
wife.
11-year-old. I'm
Exactly. Your
yes,
mom,
soon to
your
be
wife,
wife.
your career woman, and you still pour back into so many others. I mean, how do you manage? How do you balance it off? Is it always a walk in the park? Where some of the challenges are, and how do you overcome them? Maybe somebody might pick up something from there that could assist.
Yeah, it's I'll tell you that it's a balancing act, and I have a very supportive spouse and daughter, and I bring her along. So for me, it's each one teach one is my thing.
Oh
I
yes.
bring my daughter and I teach her and I show her the ropes and I show her the world, so that she gets to see what's really happening out there. And so it's a balancing act. It really is a balance. And sometimes I drop it. I'm not perfect. I say I strive for excellence, but I do not strive for perfection. And so if I do make a mistake or I do fall, I say I apologize and I keep it moving, because you can't dwell on it, and you keep it going and you bring your best, and whatever that best looks like, you bring that to the table.
Right. And I like your each one teach one. I guess that's the driving force behind everything that you commit yourself to on a daily.
That's right.
Yandy, we are absolutely grateful that you decided to join us today. I'm sure a lot of people walked away with a lot, and of course, the inspiration is what we hope. And I'm sure a lot of persons listening to this or who will be coming and view this later will be inspired. So thank you again. Continue your great work. We bring you all the strength and blessings to be able to continue because you are definitely a gem.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on today. St. Lucia, have an awesome day. See you all soon. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye,
Thanks
Yans.
for having me. Take care, guys.
It was an honor. So there you have it, guys. Yandi Martely was our guest on She Speaks this morning, and we were very happy to have had her. I mean, quite a dynamic woman, like I said, and we appreciate her. We appreciate her commitment to all that she's committed herself to, because a lot of us benefit from it as well. St. Lucia, she's even serving in the capacity over there as well, making this happen. Letting the culture not be forgotten by persons who have migrated. All right, so that's our show. We are definitely going to be back again next Tuesday with another one, same time right here. This is where we wrap up our She Speaks for this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you to all those of you who viewed, all who shared, all who just listened. We appreciate you so much.
Enjoy 20% off on credit purchases and 10% off on cash this January. Don't miss out. It's the final week to get so much more rewards. 20% off on credit and 10% off on cash. Hurry to your nearest Quartz outlet. Quartz, bringing value home.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Who's a little man with a lot to offer? He is the Harris Benz man who sells the best for less in so many colors. He is the Harris Benz man for a better pay and a better price. Check the little man for some self-advice. If you're waiting inside,